Welcome back to the Ride and Laugh podcast. If you love mountain biking, you are in the right place. Picture your last really fun group ride. You're back at the parking lot. The stoke is high. Everyone's talking about bikes, tech, nutrition, jumps, drops, berms, everything we love about mountain biking. That's what we talk about here every week on the Ride and Laugh podcast. You love bikes. We love bikes. Let's drop in. Sage, how are you today?
Danny, we got a good one, man. We got trains. We got high fives and fist bumps. We got tank tops. Yo, we're bringing it today, buddy.
If you're new to the Ride and Laugh podcast, we're not going to actually be talking about trains, choo-choo trains. We're going to be talking about what is a train in the mountain bike.
Yes,
Wait, did I turn on the wrong podcast? Is this a locomotive? Wait, are they riding trains? Is this a locomotive podcast? Does everyone know what a train is? Do all mountain bikers know what a train is, do you think?
You know, I have to admit, I didn't know what a train was until I was involved in the train. And I was like, oh, this is what a train is. This is fantastic.
I think I'm in a train. Yeah, I got a round trip ticket. I didn't even know. Thanks for buying this for me. Whoever got me this ticket.
Yes. A train, for those who don't know what a train is when you have a succession of riders go through a feature or a line. And so you'll have I think, Danny, what's the minimum to be able to call a train? This is a question.
Ride and Laugh one at Gmail and YouTube comments. Minimum riders for a train, 5?
Oh, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay.
4?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
And
you need the engine, you need the caboose, and then at least 2 cars in between, right? Like if you see a train that only has an engine and a caboose and 1 car in between, you're like, what's going on? It doesn't look like a real train. So I think you need 3 cars in between.
I think
the engine and the caboose.
Yeah, at the very least. And you know what? You brought up a really good point, because it's really important to slot yourself correctly. Otherwise you get odd gaps in the train. So for instance, I was at the Phoenixville Bike Park, which is why the train was in the intro. And man, we ran, it must have been like a 12-person train, but it was really difficult to figure out how to slot everybody. But we knew that we needed Ryan and Nikki Shreds at the back, because those two pop so high. And, right. Yeah. So we put all the fast guys, that hit the jumps at speed in the front. And then you got successively who boosts more, and then ended with those two. And man, those two are just incredible, man. Incredible.
So what's the difference between a train and a party lap?
A party lap is the last lap, usually at a bike park, but I guess you could have a party lap anywhere, but it's usually the last lap where you're just kind of throwing it all in.
I didn't know a party lap was the last lap. I thought a party lap was just like a lap. It was just a train with your buddies where everyone's just having fun, but maybe there is kind of a connotation that it's the final lap. I don't know.
Now that you say it, I could be way, way off here. Yeah. Wow. Yeah,
until recently, we're pretty new at this. You know what I mean? Both of us learned competently jump fairly recently. You very recently. Yeah. I mean, that was one of my manifestations. I knew it was going to happen. I know the kind of rider you are. I know the kind of skill you have. I knew it was just in your head. The jumping was just in your head. Yep. I knew it was going to happen. I remember saying last year, you were getting frustrated. And I was like, dude, I see us just running trains down bike park jump lines.
Yeah.
Whether it's the 2 of us, which would be a really small little,
it's a very short train.
But, yeah, it's the little train. Naturally, we would be on the little train. or 7, 8 people, whatever it is. I saw us just hooting and hollering and having fun going down jump lines where both of us are clearing the jumps, and that's happening. So I don't know which is a party lap versus a train or how those two combine, but either way, when you're running really fun jump lines with friends that also know how to jump or are really close, and the stoke level's high and the vibration is just going up and up and up and up. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm invited to these parties now. It's a fantastic feeling to be in the train, my friend. Yes.
Yes. You've always been invited, and everyone is absolutely invited. listeners, you're all invited. We're all going there. We're all getting to the same place, which is destination Stokesville. Stoke. Excitement.
I love it.
It's funny because we have a mountain bike podcast. And so like, obviously we love mountain biking and we're very in the mountain bike world. And there's all these terms. But at the same time, we're like guys in our late 40s. So how hip could we be? So we're at Phoenixville Bike Park a couple of weeks ago when I was in Pennsylvania, and Keaton is there and Ethan is there and Ryan. They're all younger, and they're throwing out terms. And I was just like, at one point they were talking about fakie. And I was like, which one is that again? You know what I mean? I just felt like such an old man, and Keaton looked at me and he was like, fakie, you were just talking about it on the podcast. Like, what that is. And I was like, I'm sorry, dude. You had to remind me. He was like, it's riding your bike backwards. I was like, oh, that's fakie. Yeah. Like there's so many of these terms.
I know.
And we're at the end of the day, like we're still kind of old dudes. You know what I mean? Like we could be as hip as we want.
I know. Those guys are not just those guys, but I often feel like that when I'm riding with younger riders, and there's so many terms for jumping too. We just learned the term table and bar term, but then you have the knack and all these. I can't remember all of them, and it's just like trying to describe it. Is something else as well. But yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, man. I wanted to talk a little bit about helmets. And I know you don't wear pads. And when you go to the bike park, you wear your full face Enduro helmet.
That's right.
And some of these trails that we ride, some of these lines are like, yeah, I want to have pads on and I want to have a full face helmet. But you and I are just so used to wearing the half shell that I don't think it ever really occurs to us, though I do see some of the more gnarly stuff that we do. And it's like, maybe a full face would make sense here. And really, would it add confidence?
Do you feel an added confidence when you wear the helmet?
Well, the reason I kind of like brought it up was because on this last trip to Pennsylvania, I had left in your basement a Enduro helmet, a very lightweight Enduro helmet. And then we went to Mountain Creek and we were going to do another bike park the next day.
Yeah.
And I had this face injury, where I blasted through the chin mount on my Enduro helmet, and I bought a downhill helmet, which came with me to Arizona. And so we get to Mountain Creek and I have this like super lightweight helmet, and it was just kind of eating at my confidence. It was just like, this thing is so light and it's super comfortable. Don't get me wrong, but it's not made for high speed crash, and bike parks, you go fast. And so, when we got there early and we're in the gift shop at Mountain Creek, and I just kind of like intuitively wandered over to the downhill helmets and started asking them about the pricing, and ended up getting a really nice deal. And Denny Genetti helped us on that. And so thank you, Dennis. Gratitude. Absolutely. But essentially bought a downhill helmet on the spot there. And I'm really glad that I did. I spent the money on it, and I don't know how much I'm going to wear it, but it gave me a lot of confidence that day. And then I had it the following day. It just allowed me to relax and not think about my helmet.
Yeah.
Even though getting it off and on was squeezing my ears. I want to ask the listeners about this, because I know I got to break in the pads. So maybe that's the answer. Ryan Left 1 at Gmail or YouTube comments. I was taking this helmet off and on. It was the first 2 days I was wearing it, and it was bending my ear. It was tight enough that it was bending my ear as I'm taking it off and on. And it was really uncomfortable. By the end of 2 days in a row of wearing that helmet, it was really uncomfortable. And I didn't tell you this part, Sage, but when I got home, there ended up being a scab on the back of my ear.
Really?
I told you, I think this thing is breaking my ear, and it's just cartilage. Our ears are just cartilage. So, you don't think anything about it, but I'd have to find some sort of system to like a headband or something to hold my ears in place so that it's not bending every time I put the helmet off and on. I know everyone's going to say it's the wrong size. I don't know. I felt like the right size.
No, it's definitely the right size. Maybe double stick tape on the back of your ears or something. I don't know. Like, you spin the ears back.
I know people mouth tape, like that's a big thing now, that you're not supposed to breathe through your mouth when you sleep. So people are taping their mouths, It's not ear tape. Right left ear tape.
Right left ear tape. Yes. I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Comes with a shake weight. So you never really think about the helmet. I mean, I kind of know the answer to this because you don't really even wear pads. So you're just like, I'm not going to crash guy.
Yeah, I mean, every time we talk about it, it just sounds more dumb, but it's true. It's true. I do have that kind of a mentality where I'm the kind of guy that's not going to crash. You know, I changed that. I used to think that I had to crash. I used to think that progression meant crashing, and I no longer believe that. And I know that sounds insane, but regarding the full face helmet, I do wear a full face helmet at the downhill park because it's much faster than a normal trail. Like these are just downhill trails. And because it's just downhill trails, and usually we're doing a little bit more risky things that you would find even at a Skyline, you know, there are still bigger things at the bike park. And if on the off chance that something does happen, like a javelina jumps out in front of me or something like that, I want to have a downhill helmet that I can, yeah.
Yeah. As if that would ever happen. What a crazy example. Come on. Why don't you say something that's a little bit more realistic, please, than being attacked by a javelina in the desert? Poor Ryan. He's getting better. He's getting better.
Yes.
We're in touch with Ryan Butler. Ryan. Anyone that's wondering how Ryan's doing after the javelina attack, he is getting better. He is improving. He's getting stronger. Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. I've heard you talk about not wanting to wear the full face helmet because how important the peripheral vision is to you. And that's not something I ever really think about or thought about. Maybe it's because we haven't done that much tech wearing a full face helmet with mountain bike goggles. But I've heard you say that you wouldn't want to wear a full face in a lot of these situations.
Yeah. It does. First of all, it's because I'm not used to wearing it. I mean, we get to bike parks, at like 4, maybe 5 times a year. So having that much, for now, but like having that much weight on my head, and it's a huge difference between a half shell and a full face helmet. So there's that to contend with. I'm not used to having, the bobblehead, it does wear on you. And the second is because it's not just the helmet, it's also you're wearing goggles. And so that cuts down on your vision as well. And it does bother me. It does bother me. Whenever I'm in a berm and I'm looking out the exit, I can see the edge of the goggle and stuff like that. You get used to it. Obviously I'm being nitpicky here, but it's not to the point where I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not wearing a downhill helmet. That'd be crazy. But yeah,
it's not something I've ever really noticed or thought of. I just feel more secure having with the full face. Yeah. And when I get my e-bike, I'm planning on wearing a full face much more often because I presume you don't overheat as much, but it's also, I don't know, we're planning on doing more things, bigger things on the e-bike. I don't know, but that's kind of like in my mind that I'll wear the full face enduro helmet when I'm on an e-bike. And I see riders out here doing that.
Yeah. Listen, the bottom line is you got to do you. If wearing pads makes you more comfortable, if wearing a full face helmet, whether it's downhill or enduro, makes you feel comfortable. And I'm saying you as in the audience, not just you, Danny, but the audience, then you do it. You do it. And if not wearing those things makes you more comfortable, then don't feel like you have to because other people tell you you're crazy. Just do you.
If it's taking away from your focus, then it's taking away from your riding. If you're thinking about your knee pads sliding down or being uncomfortable, then you're not thinking about the trail. You're not focused on the trail.
Exactly.
We've seen people at Phoenixville Bike Park, which to us is no problem anymore. We've seen people there in full face helmets, knee pads, elbow pads, chest protector, back brace, and no judgment. Look, if that's what you need to start sending these bigger jumps, go for it. And who knows what they've gone through? Who knows where they've come from?
Exactly, Danny. Yeah. Listen, you broke your face. You have this, I feel comfortable. Well, it didn't feel comfortable because it was hurting your ears, but you were like, I'm going to take the pain of this ear pain. I'm going to trade it for this, more secure helmet.
Yeah. So our quick rep that we had out, which was appreciate your mountain bike crash ? The secret upsides to wiping out on the trail.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this on our last podcast, how much I really liked that quick rep. There's just like ride and laugh goodness and perspective all throughout that. And the comments were awesome. We got several comments of like, hey guys, great timing. this just happened to me. Like, thank you for being able to show me how to raise my perspective, change my perspective, raise my vibe. This is all happening for us. Really hard to get there, especially close to a crash.
Yeah.
It's a process. But one of the comments was from our buddy Terry Haynes, and he was telling us about his latest crash, which made it into Friday Fails, number 365. For anyone that wants to look it up, maybe we'll grab it from Terry for the pod. But essentially, he loops out. But he makes a comment that everybody's got to pay the dirt tax at some point.
Yeah.
And your comment was like, do we? Is this true? And so you were just touching on that. Is this true? Do we have to fall? Are mountain bikers eventually going to fall? Is that just something that we need to accept?
I used to think that, Danny. I really did. I thought that I had to fail. I thought that was part of riding and all those things. I don't believe that. That's not to say I don't fall. Like, I still fall, Danny. I still get hurt and all that, but I don't think that I'm gonna fall. And I don't go into a feature or anything thinking those kinds of thoughts. First of all, that's a terrible thought to have, to go into a feature like, I don't want to fall. Like, if that's your first thought, don't do the feature. Like, your first thought should be, I can do this. You could be nervous, but I can do this. And so I let all of that stuff go, Danny. And lately I've had at least 2 or 3 experiences where I've walked away. And I don't know if that comes from age and experience, but when I'm starting to get a better understanding of what's within my limits and when I'm feeling the best. And in the past, I think I've pushed through things or taken more chances when I shouldn't have. And I think one of the things that we had talked about was learning from each crash. And so I have all these crashes, and you and I have had some serious crashes, but in every instance, I've never made that same mistake again. And I walked away from Hardline, and most recently we were at Mountain Creek, and I wasn't feeling 100%. The last run that we did, I had like a few like little weird mistakes that never happen, on features that I'm usually very confident on. I was like, this is a sign. Could I do 1 or 2 more runs? Absolutely. Absolutely could have went up and done another run. I didn't have to do Dominion. I could have done one of the easier green or blue trails, but I thought, no, you had a good day, Sage. Let's just end it here. And I did suggest that you go up and because you were feeling really good, but I knew for myself, I had to look out for myself. And I said, this is it for me. Dan, you are welcome to go back up, but that's it.
Excellent perspective. I have a couple questions. First, going back to Terry's comment and, that we all have to pay the dirt tax at some point, and your belief that no, we don't, but we still do. So is saying that, hey, I fell, we all have to pay the dirt tax at some point, is saying that just, afterwards, just making us, is that something to say to make us feel better? Look, this happens to everybody. It's no big deal.
I mean, listen, I love Terry, and Terry's a really positive guy. And he's a wonderful rider. So this is not a knock on him. This is just how I've changed my life. Words,
yes.
To me, words mean something, and they didn't before. Yes. They didn't before. But I've started this new mindset journey, and how I say things to myself and to others makes a huge difference. And I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people watch what they say to other people. It's very rare that you watch what you say to yourself. And that's what I've changed. I've always been very kind to other people, very gracious to other people, but I haven't been kind and gracious to myself. And that's what I changed, Danny. All the can'ts, we changed to yet. We can't jump yet, right? It seems such just like insignificant little thing to change, but it makes a world of difference. And so if you can change that, like, oh, I have to pay the dirt tax. Well, what if you don't? What if you just eliminated all of that? And listen, here's the thing. I know Terry was just joking around. He's making a joke. I don't know that he really truly believes that.
I can't tell you how many times I've fallen. True statement. There's no way I can tell you how many times. I have no idea. It's more than my fingers and toes. I'll tell you that much. But how much feedback I've gotten from other riders or even from my wife and people that are just in my life, like, it happens to everyone. It's mountain biking. It happens to everyone. It's no big deal, right?
Yeah.
So there's like balancing that, hey, this happens to everybody. And then also that belief of like, but it doesn't need to. I don't need to fall. I used to always say I'm the type of rider that doesn't fall, but when I do, I don't get hurt. And that's been true since I've started saying that. I have continued to fall, and I have not really gotten too injured. But I've had some horrible falls, like Natalie and you know, Sunrise. Like I've had some pretty bad falls, and I walk away.
Yeah.
So that is true. Like I have made that true. So, hey, is it time to like revise that to I just don't fall? I'm the type of rider that doesn't fall.
Yeah. Yeah. And
then
go ahead. No, please. You're on a roll here.
Well, I was going to say then going into the rest of what you were saying about your intuition at Mountain Creek, when you started to just notice that you were off a little bit and saying, okay, I'm not going to ride now. Like those things play into each other. Okay, now my intuition is telling me that I'm done riding for the day.
Right.
If I listen to that. Yeah. If I want to be the type of rider that doesn't fall, I also need to be the type of rider that's open to receive, including receive messages from my body and from myself that you're good for today. Even though we still have time for another 2 or 3 runs, even though your buddy would keep on going, wants to keep on going even.
Yeah.
That me saying I'm going to stop is going to be a little disappointing to him, you know, but no, my priority is listening to this intuition and trusting this intuition. And dialing into that to know that there's wisdom there. We may not know what a fakie is, but
hey,
we got 49 years of wisdom, you know, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Danny, every instance is a learning experience. And I think that was our biggest takeaway from that video. I've really enjoyed making that video. And I think if we all can come away with one positive thing from every crash, I mean, you just start building this book, this library. And if you are smart, you won't make that mistake again. Like that Natalie crash that you had, you realized that you were doing this massive slab. I mean, it was a huge, steep slab, but you realized at that moment that you were doing it not for yourself, but for other people. I don't think you've made that mistake ever again. That's going to live with you for the rest of your life. Like, am I doing this for the right reasons?
That's what Ride and Laugh podcast is about. That's what I want this to be about. I want us all, whether it's through listener comments or the Gmail or just your or my experience, is we don't all have to learn all of these lessons. Everyone learned my lessons. Everyone learned Sage's lessons. Well, everyone learns Terry's lessons. You know, anyone that comments in, like we're all in this together. We don't all have to like write the whole book ourselves. We're all in this together. We're all riding for fun, for stoke, for fitness. You know, like like if you're listening to this podcast, you love mountain biking and you connect with it. And part of mountain biking is progression and doing harder things. Oftentimes, it doesn't always have to be more dangerous things. It can just be harder things. But nonetheless, let's learn from each other and let's know that there's a vibe when you're running the train and the party lap. There's a vibe, that high vibe of we all got this. We're all confident. We're all comfortable. Let's have that on every ride, even if you're solo. Of I got this, and I have this knowledge of mountain bikers everywhere, of how to tap into intuition and succeed and have the most fun every time and be safe.
So I think the big question that everyone will have or has is, well, then if you're not crashing, then are you going hard? Are you pushing your limits? How would you? Yeah. How would you, I know how I would answer that question, but like, how would you answer that? How would you respond to that? Well, you're not doing big, hard things. You're staying, you know, I'm just going to stay with what I know. And I know that's not how you ride. So how would you respond to something like that?
There is a fine line there of pushing limits, stacking wins, getting more and more confident, letting go of expectations. There's that 100% commitment level. There is a safe way to know I got this really difficult feature or really difficult trail or jump or whatever it may be that I haven't done before. I know I have this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that I agree with everything that you just said, but a big part of this, and I think if you're not into the mindset approach, then I think you'll be able to appreciate this part, which is progressing your skills on less dangerous things so that when you get to, for instance, a tabletop is a great example of this, right? So you have a tabletop. The nice thing about a tabletop is you can land on the top. There's no penalty for coming up short. So you're practicing on a tabletop. You're working on that skill over and over and over. And then when someone presents that same jump, but this time it has a gap, well, suddenly the risk level is 100 times greater. You fall into that gap or you come up short, you're dunzos. That's a big time thing. So you're sitting at the top of the trailhead and you're like, I've done the table. This is the same size. I can do this. You've honed that skill. And so even though it is much more dangerous, you've been putting in the work. So the next thing that you have to do at the trailhead is, I can do this. If that feeling is there, I got this, I can do it, then you're ready. If you're at the top, and again, you have to discern the difference between the no, no, no and the go, go, go. If you're nervous and it's to the point where you're just scared to do it, then that's a no. That is a no right there. That is a full stop no. But if you're nervous as in excited, yo, that's a great feeling. And harness that excitement. Quiet yourself too, though. Don't go off that jump with that nervous excitedness. Slow it down, visualize it, feel good about it, smile, and then just let it happen. Let it happen. What do you think of that?
I mean, I don't, that's awesome stuff. Thank you. And Trail Stage is available for coaching if you're interested.
Hey,
this perspective is awesome when you're learning how to ride new and difficult features, whether it be jumps or slabs. Like the perspective that you're bringing as a coach, I just think it's awesome. Riding with Sage, anyone that's ridden with Sage is fantastic. So reach out to Sage if you're in the area. I guarantee you won't regret it. So there's so many gems in that, and I don't think we could talk about that enough. That go, go, go versus no, no, no. That moment of, do I want to do this? You know, sometimes I know I'm chasing the feeling of having succeeded.
Right.
That feeling is so good when you do so, when you hit that big giant drop for the first time, or the jump that you haven't cleared all day or all year or ever, and then you start clearing it. Like that feeling is so good. That stoke is so high. You have to be careful you're not chasing that you're actually riding within your means, and that you're confident, and that the difference between nervous and scared, that's a tough one sometimes.
It really is. It really is, Danny. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Awesome stuff. Another comment that we had on the quick rip about appreciating everything, the upsides to wiping out on the trail, was a listener named Tyler, whose handle is "Don't worry, I'm a pilot." is funny, but
I love it.
Tyler's talking about a recent crash and all the positive ways that he was dealing with it, as far as being healthier and recovering and that sort of thing, but also the negative thoughts were persisting, and how to deal with that while you're healing those negative thoughts that aren't serving you. Right? How do you deal with those?
You know, Danny, this is the biggest problem with mindset. At least this is the hurdle that I think most people come up with, the mindset. And that is, they think that it's just, you say these things and it's, oh, that's it. But the thing is, we're human, and we're allowed to feel bad. We're allowed to be angry. We're allowed to be sad. No one, dude, none of it. You and I, we're not monks. It's not like we go through life and we're like, oh, the universe and gratitude but no, like I get upset. I get angry. You get upset. You get angry. It just happens. What do you do with that? That's the difference, right? You can sit there and you can wallow about it, and you can be, let me get my little violin, and how long do you want to play that violin? That's up to you. And that's where the mindset for me kicks in. I allow myself to have the grace. Okay, Sage, something terrible happened. You're in a lot of pain. Okay, grace. Okay, you're going to be off the bike for a while. Okay, grace. But I don't want to sit in that. That's not fun for me. Those thoughts don't serve me. So at some point I wake up, and thankfully I got friends like you. I got my buddy Anthony. I got a lot of great people around me that won't let me wallow in that, and will quickly remind me of things that I can have gratitude for. And that helps too. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay to have those feelings. I don't want people to think that, you and I are just like, we're monking it out over here. It's like, oh, I don't feel any pain, or I don't feel any sadness. Like, no, dude, I get pretty depressed sometimes.
Yeah, it's the human experience. We go up and down. I think that's what we're here for, is to experience the whole range of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get stoked about clearing the jump if you always know how to clear the jump.
Right.
So it's just unlimited abundance, unlimited potential for progression. And then when things aren't going our way, or we perceive that they're not going our way, because what if they always are going our way, right? If everything always is working out for us,
heck yeah.
And we change our perspective to things are happening for me. Do you want to be the victim in this story, or are you the hero of your own story? Are you the hero of your story? Is everything going to work out perfectly for you? So to be able to zoom out and say, okay, I can't ride my bike for a little bit and this hurts, but what else here am I to learn? I never in a million years would have thought that breaking my face, I would look back with appreciation. 2 surgeries, jaw wired shut.
Yeah.
And now I look back, and that was a life-changing event, and I have nothing but gratitude for it. It's not my preference. I don't wish it on anybody, but I learned how to appreciate from that event, and I'm a better person. I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband. I'm a better friend. I'm a better rider, all because of that. And that's allowing those benefits, allowing that abundance to come in. Be open to it.
I love it, Danny. I love it. Wow, what a start to this show, man. Holy moly.
I know. And to all the people who commented that episode came at a really good time because they're dealing with a crash or dealing with some insecurities over a crash or healing, it's not a coincidence that you found Ride and Laugh and that you're a listener and that episode is there for you. You get what you need. Be open to receive. Allow the magic to flow.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool.
Yo, beautiful.
We got a great comment on Ride and Laugh 1 at Gmail from awesome listener Avalon Purdy in Canada. She's commented a few times, and her email was hilarious and awesome. And I can't read the whole thing, but just to touch on it a little bit. First, wow, this episode had me laughing. Chamois cream, I've never used it in my life. And from how you describe it, I think it needs to take me out to dinner first.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I love
it. And then she said that she's worn the chamois before, the padded shorts, but I'm not sure if it's she's a lady. I'm not sure if it's due to the anatomy difference, but it worked no wonders. If anything, it was riding up in places that she didn't like it. She doesn't wear them anymore. So the amount of people like the chamois cream, have you tried riding without it? Because I feel like we're the only ones wearing this stuff. We're propping up the whole industry.
I know. I only at the bike park, bro. That's the only time I don't wear chamois cream. I'm hesitant. I want to try it. I do. Not on the road bike. That's different because I'm just sitting the whole time. But mountain biking,
roadies always wear it. Right? Can we get on a roadie podcast? We need to get onto a roadie podcast and ask.
Yeah.
Hey, mountain bike podcast, a roadie podcast. Look, I know we have our differences, okay? And I know I've been hard on the roadies.
You have.
But we have a question. Yeah, we have a question, and we need a roadie podcast to answer this because these mountain bikers aren't helping us at all. Nobody's wearing this stuff.
I think the other thing is, Danny, I mean, we don't do cross country anymore, and I bet if you ask a lot of cross country racers and riders, it might get a little bit more skewed toward the cream, maybe not, because a lot of them also partake in road riding. I don't know. I don't know.
We have cross country listeners.
Yeah. And they're not commenting in. They didn't back us up.
Yeah. Where's our XC listeners at? Come on. I mean, no one wants to type into their computer and have it out on the interwebs. You know what I mean? Yeah. I put cream on my taint. Just nobody wants to write that apparently. Maybe that's the problem.
That's the problem.
I don't want taints to start popping up in my search engine because I commented on your stupid podcast.
Yeah. They're secret creamers. They're secret creamers.
Yeah.
It's okay to come out.
They're
it's
closeted.
Okay to come out. Yes, they're closeted creamers.
Yes. They're closeted creamers. They're putting that cream on in the closet where nobody can see it.
That's right.
Come on into the light. It's okay.
It's okay. Yes, we're here for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. The cream is happening for your taints. You're not a victim.
Oh, my Lord. Yes.
I have had a few rides since the last podcast where I was like, should I not put the cream on? And I can't bring myself.
Okay.
No, I can't bring myself to do it. I'm just like, why do I want to risk getting a saddle sore? I can't. I ride my trainer. I rode it this morning. Brutal ride. I was on it for an hour.
Yeah.
I put the cream on. I was like, well, what's the benefit of not using it? I'm not really sure. I mean, it looks creepy putting it on and it's a couple extra bucks.
That's it though. That's it.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, We like our cream, okay?
Yeah.
For all you dry taints out there, you don't know what you're missing. I don't understand why we're the only ones getting saddle sores. I don't know. Jeff and I did this huge ride in Flagstaff. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And I knew it was a lot of climbing, and I'm like staring at my chamois cream. On the drive up, I was like, "Do you wear chamois cream?" He's like, "No, it's for losers." He didn't say that because he's too nice, but it was implied.
I'll be darned. So Jeff is a non-creamer.
Yeah. I got iron taints all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well,
I know.
Good on everybody else.
I haven't had a ride where I've skipped it yet. And it's funny that you haven't either. It's only been a couple of weeks, but I've done a bunch of rides.
Yeah. Maybe in the winter when it's not so sweaty, I don't know.
I'll tell you what, the ride I was not going to skip it on was riding my hardtail down Boulder Dash, double black tech trail, Boulder Dash with AJ. I don't think AJ was wearing cream. I didn't come up. If it actually probably did. I'm sure he wasn't. AJ's way too cool to put cream on his thing, But we've been talking about riding this double black tech trail since the underbiking conversation, and my pivot broke and I started riding the hardtail. And I reached out to AJ, and AJ's like, this trail and this bike have been living in my brain for too long. It's super freaking hot. The timing wasn't great, but we were like, all right, let's make it happen. And man, we just slayed. We just slayed on the hardtails. The parts that he was nervous about, I guinea pigged. I followed him through a bunch of lines. He knows that trail really well. Yeah. And everything felt really good. Stacking wins, getting more and more confident. I was envisioning the parts that he was nervous about. And I told him, I said, I may not even stop. I may just roll right through it. I got this. And that did happen. It was awesome. And your theory, which was backed up by Mythbusters, that going faster is better or smoother, which is part of our last podcast, was talking about faster or smoother, absolutely bore fruit. Absolutely true. A little bit more speed. And I listened to one of our hardtail episodes where you were telling me lean into that front fork, get even more aggressive, more dynamic, more active, and I did that, and it felt great. And AJ was on flat pedals. He maybe popped off at one point, he said, but he recovered, and he felt great. It was just really cool. It was really fun.
Yo, I didn't know AJ was on flats. He's always been flats?
Always on flats. Yeah.
Wow. That trail, for those that don't know, and you're not watching the YouTube, the Boulder Dash trail is just nonstop big time rocks. I mean, you have rock rolls, you have rock drops, and everything in between is loose kitty litter. So, I mean, to be able to confidently go through that and roll through Boulder Dash, that is saying something, Danny. I did get a chance to look at your footage, and I got to tell you, if I didn't know that you were on hardtails, I would have thought you were on your full suspension. It looked that smooth. And
thank you.
I don't know, Danny, that was really impressive. So what's this mean? I mean, is there here's a better question. What can't you do on the hardtail? What is a trail that, like, yo, I would not do this on the hardtail?
I mean, it's so funny because we were so scared of Boulder Dash. And then afterwards, I was talking to AJ, and we were talking about progression, right? And I said, if we rode that trail again on the hardtails, we would be talking about what else are we going to add in? Are we going to do the on-off? Are we going to do the drop? You know what I mean? Like, we would be looking to do harder things. We already did the downward-facing drop. I wasn't planning on doing that. There's a downward-facing drop in that trail, and he just told me, he was like, I think I'm going to go for it. And so I was like, I just followed him in. And so we did the downward-facing drop, and it was a little harsh. I will say that. But yeah, we felt good. And we're like halfway through the trail, and we're like just vibing and flowing and feeling good. And I turned to him and I was like, dude, it's not the bikes, man. It's the rider. Yeah. It's the rider. Like, we got this. We know what we're doing. And look, they're very aggressive They're really good downhill hardtails. Both of us they're very slack. They both have a lot of suspension. So they're good for that type of trail, but it definitely opened things up. What other challenges do we want to do on the hardtails? It was cool.
What prevented you from doing the on-off?
I was following him, and we were just flowing. So It was just kind of like, yeah, let's just keep on going. And it was going to be a high of 110 that day, I think. And Boulder Dash, the end of the trail isn't the end of the ride.
Right.
You still got to get back to the car. And so at the same time, I was just like, let's just flow through this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were like, what other trails do we want to hit here? And, technical trails do we want to try on the Hardtail? And what else would be fun? So it was cool. And, the riding the Hardtail just forced me to be more dynamic, more active, and more confident, more committed. And there's appreciation in that.
Yeah, dude, I was, again, watching that footage, I was just so impressed. And honestly, like, you are centered on the bike because like your POV doesn't move. Like it used to be like when you started going down a steep, I'd start seeing like a ton of top tube. Nah, you're the amount of top tube that's showing. Very consistent, my friend. Very consistent top tube.
I'm very modest with my top tube these days. I don't want to show too much top tube. Like I got a podcast. There's families listening. Like, hey, Danny,
I had to blur it.
Why don't you back off the top tube a little bit? Yeah. Anything over 6 inches, you're just showing off, dude. Like, okay, yeah. let's keep it reasonable. That's pretty cool. Everyone needs a trail stage to analyze the amount of top tube on the bike. Like this, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Sage is available. He will analyze your top tube and tell you if you're showing too much. Yeah. He will let you know if you are being inappropriate with your top tube, which I think I am right now, actually. Ixnay on the op tube. Okay. That's pretty cool that you've watched so much POV and so much of my POV riding that you can actually tell when I'm leaning back too far. And something I'm really focusing on. I was watching Jeff at Flagstaff and approaching some of these slabs, and I see it on YouTube. I see like the really high. Jeff Jackson was doing this on Sunset Ridge. Just that like pushing into the tech, pushing into it. You do it all the time, but just that like you're pushing into the slab. You're not going away from it. You're aggressively going at it. Yeah. And oh man, there's magic in there when you're riding with that aggressiveness. Everything just flows so much better.
Yeah, for sure, man. Nice job, dude. Nice job. And AJ, by the way, AJ, killing it.
Yes,
this looks so good.
Definitely, it's pretty cool that one of the guys in the group of guys that I ride with all the time rides an aggressive hardtail, wants to try it on harder and harder features, and it's just like, and I'm here for him. Like all of a sudden, I appeared from Philadelphia, like, hey. AJ, here's your hardtail buddy, It's just pretty cool the way that works out. Open to receive. Yeah. And it is cool. Cause I don't know that I would have done that by myself. It was really cool doing it with another person. So much more fun, know? It's a 2-person party lap the whole way down.
2-person party lap. A lot of top tube. Yeah.
Too much top tube on that party lap. Yeah. You party too hard on the party lap and the top tube comes out, and this is going really weird. This is going really weird. AJ's like, I want out. I want out of this bit.
You're on the train, buddy. You're on it.
Get back in the closet and cream in private.
Creamy. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mountain bike gratitude of the week, because it is a doozy and I got to hear about it.
Yes. Oh, my mountain bike gratitude is, and it's been my gratitude before, but I got to tell you, man, the fire group, we went up to Mount Penn, and the fire group is the Females First Racing Enduro. And they asked me to coach them. And I said, well, what do you guys want to learn? And instead of, usually I've been taking them to the tech, and this time they said, we want to do jumps. And
you've coached them several times in the past, right?
Yes,
First, they just wanted a tour of Mount Penn, and then they got to know you. This is before you were a coach, but this is one of the ways that you learn that you loved coaching, because you always have loved working with these ladies. You've always loved it.
Yeah, with anybody, really. I do love working with people, but these, what makes this group so special is that they're all ladies, and the age is from all. I think the youngest is like 12 or something like that, or 12 or 14, all the way up to like, however old. There's no limit. And it's incredible how, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but they're able to retain information and then immediately apply it. And I think as guys, I think I was trying to explain this to somebody else, but like the way that we approach it, it's almost like we kind of like, yeah, we got it. I got this. Don't worry. Whereas I just feel like that group is really just like, okay, what do I need to know? And then they immediately apply it. There's no ego. And it's just unbelievable. The progression that we had. First of all, we went to Boom Sauce, which is one of Mount Penn's premier jump flow lines. And the idea was, let's warm up on Boom Sauce. And then as extra credit, if you want to go to Skyline afterwards, we can take what we learned at Boom Sauce and apply it to Skyline. And the reason why I chose Boom Sauce first is the way that they have Boom Sauce designed is everything that you learn gets progressively harder and you can implement that more and more. So it starts off with 2 little berms. I said little, but they're not little. 2 little berms that you have to work through and pump. And the reason why that was important was because a little bit further down the trail, there is a berm into a double, which if you don't know what a double is, it is one roller to the next, which you can jump if you are able to maintain your speed. So we worked on the berms, and it was like, don't break, use it and pump into the berm. And then you can use that energy and explode out of it.
Great skill to have.
Yeah. And so
absolutely,
that whole trail is built like that. So each thing that you learn, you can kind of, build upon.
And they're
itself.
Racers.
And they're racers.
The fire team are racers. They're doing Enduro races. So if you can learn how to not only keep your speed in a berm, but pump out of it and get more speed, that's awesome for riding. Yeah.
Yes. And doubles, like, dude, you're going to run into doubles on the trail. Sometimes it won't be man-made. Sometimes it'll just be a rock bump, and you're just like, how do we work this bike? And that was the whole point, was getting dynamic on the bike and working that bike, which is completely different than some features are just like, let the bike do the work. Boom Sauce is not that trail. This is not a let the bike do the work trail. And I got to tell you, every single one of those ladies knocked it out the park. It was unbelievable, Danny. So much fun. Thank you, Fire Team.
It looked awesome. I'm fascinated. I mean, you're such a range of ages and abilities, and to be able to have someone get something out of that. Everyone, there's something, and Boom Sauce is a great trail to practice on.
Really
built by Sticks and Stones. Our buddy Sean at Sticks and Stones, we'll put a link in there for Sticks and Stones. He's awesome, and he built awesome trails. And it's just a great example. There's gap jumps, there's tabletops, there's rollers, there's doubles, there's berms. It's got a little bit of everything. And to be able to progress on those trails and get confidence on those trails and then take it to other races or other trails, that's awesome. Are you saying that you feel that women, in your experience, and I know you just started coaching, but do you think that women learn differently than men?
I don't know if they learn differently, but here's what I'll say. We're just talking statistics. We're just talking stereotypes here, but and by the way, guilty. I'm one of those men. Like, I have a hard time putting aside my ego. I have a hard time actually listening. Sometimes when people talk, I stop listening and I'm already thinking of the answer. Like, instead of actively listening, I'm already like, yeah, I know what he's going to say. And I'm already putting together.
I have to actively not do that. I have to actively listen to listen.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm constantly turning off my, here's what I'm going to say next, or this is my point that I'm going to make. And I'm just going to wait until a pause in the conversation so that I can slide this nugget in there instead of continuing to listen. Active listening is a gift that you can give to someone. It's also a gift that you give to yourself, and it keeps you present. I don't know that men and women are better or worse at that as a gender. Do you think so?
I do feel like there's a huge difference. It was incredible, Danny. It was incredible. It was just like everything I said, they just immediately applied. And that's not the impressive part. The impressive part was they applied it and then excelled at it. I was just blown away at how talented everybody on that team was. It was so, oh yeah, man. Yeah. It's, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, fruitful is not the right word.
Well, it's inspiring and to see everyone just being unlimited. Obviously, if you belong to a downhill enduro race team, like you love mountain biking or you're really involved in it and you probably love it, you like it a lot, to be able to have that vibe, that party train vibe. We're all here to learn something. We're all here to support each other. It's just, mountain bikers are the best and mountain biking's awesome. So really cool. I thought the videos looked great, and I was excited for you and for all the ladies.
Yeah,
on that ride.
You just brought up a word, and I do want to mention this. I think the support that they have for each other is something that really makes a huge difference. Danny, we did that big gap jump at the end of Boom Sauce. This thing's we counted it out. I measured it out. It is 3 bike lengths. That's 18 feet. You don't come up short on this.
Royal feet.
Yeah. You don't come up short on this. You got to clear this gap. And the amount of cheering, so they're on both sides of the trail, and they're just like, "Go Tess, go Ellie!" I mean, they're just like cheering at the top of their lungs. I feel like I'm at a football game, I'm just like, I'm getting pumped up.
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, oh, all right, we're about to hit this gap.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference. Yeah, what a great community, what a great support system. Yep.
Wow, I love that. Well, that is fantastic, and the fire team is awesome, and support and mountain bike love and vibes. And it's just like everything. There's so much in there. I want to get to my mountain bike gratitude. We are getting a little bit tight on time, but I got to mention this ride in Flagstaff that I did with Jeff Windsor.
Yeah,
and we met Molly, who was in the Flagstaff Trail Coalition. I'll figure out exactly what the name is and put it in the show link in the show notes if I can. But the trails up there were just great. You go from the desert into the pine like woods and there's dirt, and it was just awesome. And the coolest thing about the ride is that the night before we found out one of the trails that we were going to ride called Full Sail was closed. Oh. And I called Jeff up and I was like, should we cancel? Should we go somewhere else? And he was like, no, man. He's like, I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of guy. Let's just go up there. Those trails are great. We'll figure it out when we get up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't trust him, of course. I trust Jeff, but just my personality, like I immediately went to my computer and spent like an hour and a half on Trail Forks looking at routes. I created 4 different routes. Here's what we get. And so we get up there and we start riding, and we're just changing the ride as we go based on how we feel. And we're looking at the map and let's try that. And so we end up hitting this new tech flow trail called Meteor Ride, which deserves its own segment. I mean, it's just so well built, so much fun, side hits. You can hit it slow or fast, but it was really, really cool. And then we climb back up and we meet a local who's like, hey, this Big Bang trail is cool, but there's this other trail that's like really, really cool if you want to try it. It's a legit downhill, like double black. She didn't say it was double black. We learned later that it was like a legit downhill double black trail. Yeah, it was a full commit. It was steep and fast and technical and well built and everything rolled, but high consequence, super high consequence. And we just had to be locked in. So steep, no time to stop, and a couple spots where we caught our breath in between features. But it was just like, oh my gosh, is this going to keep going like this? And it did. Every time we got back on the pedals, it just like stayed gnarly and aggressive and crazy and fun. And we did that trail. It was like a half a mile downhill. It was 8 minutes of the day. We were probably on our bikes for 3.5 hours that day. And it was like the main thing we talked about on the ride home. Meteor Ride was great.
Yeah.
But finding this trail, riding it blind, I followed Jeff. So he was riding true blind. I was doing a blind follow, and talk about being behind someone that you trust. Gratitude to Flagstaff, gratitude to all the trail builders out there, and gratitude to mountain bike friendships. But riding behind someone like Jeff, who I trust, I was just like, I'm following his line. He was picking good lines, and I was following his line. And it was just so much fun, so much commitment, no time to think about anything. But I got this.
What was the transition like for you coming from desert riding to something like this? Like, it looks nothing like on South Mountain.
More than coming out of the desert, I was coming off the trip to Pennsylvania. So we did jump trail. We did bike park, Phoenixville bike park. And then I got back to the valley and I did Desert Trails bike park was my only ride, which we didn't even talk about because that was an interesting day as well. And then to Flagstaff. And that was not jump trails. So I went from jump to tech.
Yeah.
And bottom line is we're good at both of them. You know what I mean? Like, we got it. And that's pretty cool.
I mean, how much difference is it, right? Between, being active on the bike, whether you're jumping or you're doing tech, it's still the same position.
Yeah.
Even on the jumps, it's like, you can't be far back. I mean, it's the one thing I'm noticing between the great jumpers and the okay jumpers. The great jumpers are getting forward on the bike. You know, they're right. They're staying centered all the way through. And I'm watching you again. I'm watching that top tube, baby. You looked great on that meteor ride and on that Lomer. It was unbelievable. First of all, kudos to AJ on the Boulder Dash. Kudos to Jeff on meteor ride. I mean, AJ knew Boulder Dash, you know, like that's his trail.
Right.
This is not Jeff's. He's never been on this trail. And for him to like attack this thing the way that he did, massive kudos, Jeff.
So fast. So fast. I told him, I'm glad you're in front of me because I would not be going this fast. Ball's so big. I don't know how he sits down sometimes, you know?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Absolutely crushing it, raising my level, you know, because I got to keep up, you know, like, all right, this is the speed that we're going, apparently. And on both trails, you know, just really awesome, really confident, just a great dude to follow. And a really interesting point that you make about being comfortable on these high speed jump trails and then taking that to really high speed tech trails, because there was no going slow on this Lomer.
That's it.
And on Meteor Ride, I wasn't going slow because Jeff wasn't going slow. So you could take that trail slower. On the Lomer, no, it's pointed down. Like you got to keep those wheels rolling and you got to keep them going at a decent speed. And some really high consequence features that you're just like, okay, I'm in it. Let's keep them rolling. Let's see what happens. We got this. But staying aggressive, staying forward, staying in that body position. So being at the jump trails where we're having to commit to the speed to get the jumps and not hit brakes, you have a lot of that also on high tech, high speed tech, high consequence tech, where you got to commit that speed and that full commitment. It just locks you in, and it's one of the joys of mountain biking for me is finishing a trail like that. We didn't know it was coming up. We didn't know what it was. And then it was just awesome. You know, like you only get one time riding a brand new trail that and we had no idea what to expect. And it was awesome. And it was high level. It was really high level. And just like Boulder Dash, we got done and we were like, we totally got that. It was awesome.
I mean, that gratitude had like 18 gratitudes in it. Unbelievable. You had the local that you ran into that told you about the Lomer. You have Jeff taking you through this line, the gratitude for all the experience that you had in PA, and then taking that over to like this trail. Like everything is just like, it's perspective.
And the trails.
Yes.
The trails. Just that day, so many things happened that day. I could do a whole separate podcast on it. So everything just worked out so well.
Yeah.
And that's only because we went with the flow. We were open to receive, just like how we started this podcast. We were open to receive. Let's see what happens, because the trail that we wanted to ride was closed, and I almost canceled the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we met the local at the right time, you know, at the exact place and time where we had a second to stop and talk. And she told us about the Lomer Trail and Meteor Ride and other people that have ridden there and shown us and talked about it. And yeah, dude, it was a great day, and just full of gratitude.
I love it. Well, Danny, we are running up against it, so I will jump right into my mountain bike tip. It's a short one. It's a quick one, but because we had so many bike park conversations, I thought I would do my quick tip on what I carry at the bike park, because you and I, we don't ride with our hydration packs. And so I bring 3 things on every ride when I'm at the bike park, and I carry them in a hip pack. So it's actually a runner's belt. It's so thin.
Inexpensive.
Yeah. Super inexpensive. That's right.
Plastic. Yeah.
Yep. And so I bring this runner's belt, and in it, I carry a mini pump, a dart, which is basically a tire plug. And so I used to dart, but you can use whatever you want. And I bring a small multi-tool, not the full set crank bar. There's just like the basic ones that you need. Those 3 things. And I got to tell you, Danny, every single one of those things came in handy when we were at the bike park. I'd love to hear from our listeners what they bring. Do they bring anything? And what do they bring in their toolkit of essentials when they're at the bike park?
Well, I think that hip pack with the mini pump has bailed us out so many times. It's an absolute great idea. Like, there's nothing worse than getting to the top of the trail and then realizing that your tire's low and maybe you got to take the lift down or walk down. I mean, it just takes a huge chunk out of your day. So if you got that mini pump, if you're halfway down or a quarter of the way down, and you can like get enough air in there to be able to even just roll down the rest of the trail, let alone maybe even ride. Yeah, it's totally worth it. And the dart, you know, there's some sort of tool to save a puncture, save a tire. And because you don't really want to buy a tire at a bike park if you can avoid it. They really overcharge there for the most part. So those are the minimum things you want to have.
But some people might say, well, why don't you bring a tube? Like at that point, like I don't want to invest the time in taking off the tire and putting in a tube. Like at that point, I might as well just start walking down the trail. The dart or a tire plug, if you can get it in there quick enough, it saves you from having to take the tire off and then, take the wheel off the frame. And it's a time saver. That's why I don't bring a tube.
You're going to bring a tube, then you need to bring tire levers and, so it's a little bit more involved, and it's certainly not a bad idea if you want to, it could make sense, but it's really just kind of in case of emergency. And you do get flat tires at bike parks, and there's not always a pump there. So those are great tips. And I will say that I have kept gels, and I had like this kind of like peanut macadamia butter sort of stuff in a packet that I could use as a snack. And I also have had these syrups that you can use maple syrup instead of a gel. It's not quite the same kick that you get from the full sugar, but is also a real food. And twice recently, I've either gone down or just hit those packets in the wrong way that they've exploded in the pack. So one time the pack was like filled with peanut butter. That one went right in the garbage. Like I was like, I'm not even bothering because the hip packs are only like $11 or $12. I just threw it away. I was like, oh my God, this is such a mess. And then another time the syrup started to leak, and it's like now my shorts have syrup on them and it's all sticky and it's gross. Dude. So I think I'm out. I think I'm out and carrying food in the pack. That's my tip. Your tip is what to bring. My tip is what not to bring. I had just thrown away the peanut butter pack. So that one the syrup pack, I was like, well, I'm keeping it. So I was able to clean it out and keep it. It felt irresponsible to just keep throwing these things away.
For sure. Yeah. Good stuff, Danny.
All right, man.
All right.
Great stuff. Awesome episode. Yeah, we appreciate everyone. If you're still listening, you are definitely one of us. You love mountain biking, and we appreciate you. Please rate and subscribe on your podcast player. Give us a thumbs up. Watch on YouTube to the end. Give us a comment. And Ride Life 1 at Gmail. If you have anything that you want us to talk about or any stories that you want to share, we're here for it. We're also accepting super thanks. Everyone, thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Have a fantastic week and a great week of riding. Ride and laugh.
I'll see you, everybody.